Sometimes on this journey, it can feel like we're going nowhere fast. And in my experience of life, we go through phases of really accelerated progression, especially in the first 6 months. And then sort of things dip off a bit and progress gets slowed a little bit. That's not to say our well-being doesn't increase, it does. But the progress of change, of transformation begins to get a bit slower. We're going to talk today about why you may not be making as much progress as you'd like. So what does progress look like on this journey? Well, sometimes it can feel like progress means lying to myself and telling myself that I'm somewhere that I'm not on this path in some way to gain a larger inflated sense of self. But of course we recognize this is spiritual ego, right? And if we don't know what that is, spiritual ego is basically a normal ego just with a spiritual ideology. The ego hasn't changed. The ego hasn't been disrupted or seen through enough in a way. And the difficulty with a spiritual ego, if I'm sincere with myself and you, is that they're really hard to see through, especially when we've got one. So, full disclaimer, I still have a spiritual ego in some essences. Yes, it thins. It thins. And as we go through this process that we call life and we do our sadhana, it thins even more, and we can begin to see and become more aware of its musings, so to speak. Before we dive into this subject, I just want to introduce you a little bit to the things down below in the comments section. They should be pinned to the top. You have a free introduction to Hatha Yoga, if that's the way that you want to go with this. If you want to find some relaxation and some peace for the nervous system, that's a great way to go. There's a free breathing practice. This is more for bliss bunnies that would prefer something really high powered and quite high octane in the system. That's down below. There's a free community if you just want some comfort. That's either on Facebook or Discord. And there's some awakening coaching down below if you've got a bit of spare time and a bit of money behind you and you feel like something here in me I may have healed that may be able to help you. Then you're more than welcome to sign up for an immersion training down below. The application form is free. The coaching itself isn't. Back to the video. Why may we not be making quite as much progress, I said that word, didn't I? Progress on this journey as we think we should be? Well, it's all well and good doing your practices twice a day. All right, once a day. All right, once every other day. All right, once a week for some of you. It's okay though, as we're going through this process, to do that practice, preferably once a day if you can. Why do we do it? To enliven the system, to bring about the highest intensity of energy in the system, so that the energy gets high enough that everything that's not us falls away. And this is a process, and sometimes when things aren't falling away, or we're really stuck into an identity, or something keeps going inside of us and we're like, this should be done by now, or it keeps rearing its ugly head, then we come to the conclusion that we're not making any progress. But of course this isn't necessarily true, because growth and healing isn't linear. Sometimes we have to see things from a new perspective, because that's all this is, right? A new perspective. Right now is a new perspective of now. And sometimes we just have to see now from many, many different perspectives until we get the learning that we are in fact meant to receive. Now, I have to apologise, the camera went off, the battery was exhausted. This seems to be quite a common occurrence in my last couple of videos. So, the real question for ourselves is, when we're doing these practices, maybe it's once a week, and if it is, maybe we can boost it a little bit, right? Maybe it's twice a week, and still we want it boosted to once a day if possible. But it doesn't really matter how many practices we're doing, it really matters the quality. The question really, if we're noticing that we're not changing as much as we'd like, then the question might be is, how am I showing up for myself? Now we know every change or any transformation starts on the mat. And I was speaking to a client the other day who is going through a major transition in their life. I'm sure many of you resonate with that, from one way of living to another way of living, a happier way of living. But the transition is not necessarily so happy. It includes growing pains, right? And we resonate with this. But I was asking them, because they're transitioning in their career and in life in general, I was saying, well, because we know that all transitions start on the mat, how are your transitions on the mat? Well, we call these in yoga vinyasas. Vinyasa, sometimes we hear that and we go, yes, that's a type of yoga. And it's like, yeah, it is. But vinyasa really means transition. Now, how conscious am I in my transitions between poses? Am I wiggling with my clothes, or am I flicking my hair or something as I'm doing my transition from posture to posture? Well, if I am, that's an indicator that I'm not very conscious in my transitions, right? And so then how is my transition from point A to point B in life, or point A from non-spiritual to spiritual awakening, going to go? Well, it's probably going to be quite unconscious and therefore quite painful. So we gave her some things to do, her and him, there were two of them, to address perhaps where we want to show up for ourselves a little bit more. It's about focus. And for a long time, I have thought that meditation was about sitting down, closing my eyes, and just being here. But meditation really means concentration. It's about focus. And to focus, we really have to show up for ourselves. It's about coming to the mat with the integrity, with enough integrity to say, do you know what, I'm here for this and this only. The shopping list in my mind can wait until 1 hour's passed and I've done my practice. It's the quality of the practice that makes the difference. It's the quality of our practices that create the change, especially if we've been going on autopilot for the last little bit of time, and I know a lot of us have been. It's about bringing that focus back, that clarity back into the practices that we're doing. I hope this video helps you. I hope that with focus you can begin to shift some of these things in your life that perhaps you might judge about yourself or that you really want to change. I hope this video helps. Have a great evening. Namaste.